While there are many questions about the quarterback room right now at Clemson, when you look at the future, the quarterback room is muddier than ever.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Clemson podcast. I am your host, John Bivens. You can follow us over on Twitter at I am John Bivens. We are a credentialed media member for all things Clemson, basketball, baseball, and football. Thanks for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast at and over on YouTube. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. After you listen to this podcast, make sure you go check out one of the over 200 other shows for Locked On Podcasts for whatever sports you want to follow. Here on Locked On Clemson, we're bringing you all things you need to know about Clemson University and the sports there. We're all sports, all passion, all of the time. Today is Thursday, August 22nd. We're going to be talking about our muddy future at the quarterback room, talking about the wide receiver advantage between Clemson and Georgia, and then a preview of the successful dirt raid last year against Kentucky. Going to be great. We are grateful to Ultimate GM. Ultimate College Football Head Coach is a brand new mobile game that is completely free, has no ads, and 100% playable offline. Use the promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game store to receive a free boost to your program. Begin your coaching legacy today. Clemson's quarterback room for the future is muddier than ever. So Clemson's quarterback situation now, yes, there's some questions. You got Cade Klubnik, who's coming into his second year as a starter in the program, and he's our quarterback. There's no question there. He's our starting quarterback. I do not expect him at all to not start every game unless he's hurt. I think that's the only way CV gets in the game at all, is either hurt or where he's hurt or a blowout, right? Cade Klubnik has this year and next year. CV has 3 years left. He's a redshirt freshman this year, which means he's got a sophomore, junior, and senior year left. So he should be taking over when he's a junior. We now have 3 quarterback recruits between the 2025 and 2026 class. Earlier this week, we saw Clemson land a 3-star quarterback, Brock Bradley, of the second quarterback of the 2026 class, third counting the one in the 2025 class. And the quarterback room is muddy from 2026 on. Let's go ahead and walk through year by year. This year, Cade Klubnik is the starter. Most likely next year, Cade Klubnik is the starter. It should be then, after that, 2 years of CV. So 2026, 2027 should be CV, should be Christopher Vinzina. Now we have 3 quarterbacks coming in, and honestly, none of them are excellent. If you've heard our podcast in the past, I'm a big fan of 1ORs, and we'll go through in a second those 3 those 3 prospects we're bringing in. The problem is this: none of those 3 prospects are guys that really fit Clemson's recruiting profile. Right now, for the past multiple years, our quarterback room have been full of really good recruits. We've had players starting that are obviously 4 or 5-star recruits. I mean, our last 4 starters, 5 starters, have been 5-star recruits. Maybe 4 out of the last 5. I don't remember if Kelly Bryant was a 4 or 5-star recruit. But not counting Kylie Bryant, Deshaun Watson, 5-star. Trevor Lawrence, 5-star. DJU, 5-star. Cade Klubnik, 5-star. I believe Kelly Bryant was 2. I could be mistaken. That could be a 4-star. I apologize for not researching that in advance. But either way, we usually have 5-star starters. Our backups have usually been 4-star starters. We've even had a 5-star starter 5-star backup a couple times. Now, our last 3 signees, our next 3 people coming into Clemson, are all 3-star quarterbacks. I don't understand that. Clemson is priding itself on, we're not going to transfer people. We're not going to get transfers because we have all the guys we need. We're one of the best recruiting people in the nation. Well, if that's the case, why are we settling for these 3-star recruits? And look, I'm not throwing any shade. These players seem like they'd be great. I think there's one of these guys that could be absolutely great, amazing. But why are we settling? Why are we not going after the best of the best when we know we could get them? I'm not saying we're going to get every recruit, but you're telling me not even one 4-star we could get as a quarterback? I don't think that I don't see what's going to happen here. So let's go through these quarterbacks. So let's start with Christopher Vanzina. He is a redshirt freshman. He's entering his second year with Clemson Sports. He appeared in a couple games last year. He came in as a big recruit. He's a 4-star recruit, according to 24/7, a 95 score, 103rd in the nation, 10th in the quarterback, 10th in the state of Alabama. Here's his recruiting profile that they put on there from high school. Possesses adequate size and frame for the position. Verified at 6'3", has the frame to add additional weight to his body at the next level. Good athleticism in the pocket and above average mobility. Has a loose, compact throwing motion. Shows the ability to get the ball out of a variety of angles. Good foot quickness. Ability to reset his feet in the pocket. Tendency to play rushed at times in the pocket, but flashes good play tempo and ability to extend plays. Good arm strength, good velocity, ball pops off his hand. Excels throwing the deep ball with touch and accuracy. Needs to add some polish to short and immediate part of his game, but flashes the accuracy to be consistent passer at the next level. Above average passer that has the ability to develop into a good passer at the next level. A threat with his legs, not only as a runner, but the ability to extend plays out of the pocket, throw off platform. Projects to a multi-year Power 5 starter at the next level. Will need 2 years to develop before seeing credible playing time. So his profile, what Cooper Petagama wrote this, and so far he's got it exactly right. I think he's going to get technically 3 years, with one of those being a redshirt year of development before he starts, because I think Cade Klubnik's our starter next 2 years, so he should be entering the starter as a redshirt junior with 2 years of eligibility as a starter at the program. Plenty of time to develop, plenty of time to polish his skills, and honestly could develop into a great quarterback. What happens after him? Well, right now, the keys would go to one of our three-star prospects. Our three stars, we have Blake Hebert, who is the quarterback we signed in the 2025 class. So next year, he's a 3-star quarterback recruit. Let's look at his profile. So 24/7 Sports has him as a 3-star quarterback. His composite's a 4-star, but he's a 3-star, 89 overall, 27th best quarterback, the second out of Connecticut. His recruiting profile, they didn't say much on him. Here's what he said. This is by Brian Dawn. A natural passer, good athleticism, gets overlooked, throws catchable ball and touch with an arm strength. Verified size and pair of in-person evaluations helps paint a complete picture. Strong arm, delivery is free and easy. Without stressing his arm, he can get the ball down the field 50 yards. Delivery is compact and accurate. Mechanics are sound. The work he put in shows how he can get through reads. He's comfortable in the pocket, does not get rattled under pressure. Maneuver in the pocket, keeping his eyes downfield. Strides into a throw. He can drive the ball into a tight window. Patient, does not try to force passes. Recognizes matchups, willing to give receivers change, make a play on 50-50 balls, continuing to develop his strength throughout his frame that will help Hebert continue to add arm strength, make yards with his feet, and run in the 40 in a 4.6. He is a passer first. Produces a sophomore, which completed 111 of 185 passes, 1,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, 1 interception in 12 games. He could be great. He seems like he's got a good size, good build, good frame. His fundamentals are there, but he just doesn't fit. We don't go for 3-star recruits. We go for the best of the best. And again, I know stars are just stars. I know that 100%, without a doubt. I mean, look at Hunter Renfrow. The stars don't mean anything if the player outplays it, and that could definitely happen. But he's one of our recruits. The second recruit that we got was a baseball commit to Arizona State who decommitted to play quarterback at Clemson with Tait Reynolds. He's an 87 overall player rating from 24/7, 3-star, 26 quarterback, number 1 out of Arizona. His playing style was big, strong, multi-sport athlete, not just talented football player, top baseball player as well. That's why I committed to Arizona State before getting out of it. He can run around, but plays with his legs, so it's more like a fullback than a quarterback when he's running zone reads or gets loose in secondary. Tough kid, stand in the pocket, take a shot, deliver the football, doesn't shy away from contact. Still raw in some areas of pure passer. Would like to see him improve accuracy as well as touchdown to interception ratio. Throws a lot of fastballs. Will need to improve his ability to change speeds and throw on a touch. Gamer though, and you love the physicality he plays with, compete level. He could be developing the right physical tools. It'll be fun to see where his game is in a few years. Tait Reynolds, I've talked about it before. I think he could be really good. I also think that he could turn into a multi-level, maybe switching up positions a little bit. 3-star recruit. I was really big on him at first, but the more I've seen recent film of him, recent shows, I'm not sure if I'm still huge on Tait. but he's 3-star. Our next 3-star is the one that just signed with us, Brock Bradley. Brock is a 3-star recruit out of Alabama, 584th national, 52nd from the quarterback, 20th in the Alabama. He's a part of the 2026 class with Tait Reynolds. There isn't a recruiting profile on him yet because someone hasn't done it. If you watch his play style, he's got a good arm. Seems like he has good accuracy. He's got great on his feet. A couple plays I've seen, he rolls out of the pocket to avoid a hit and gets his feet set before throwing, which is really good to see, especially out of a sophomore, which he was when his Fillmore played for freshman and sophomore. But another 3-star. My question is, with all these 3-stars that don't match our typical production, are we just signing our backups right now? Is the plan to rock with CV? Allow these to be the backups. We still have Trent Pierman for a couple years as well, but allow these to rock as the backups, and then get you got CV till roughly the end of the 2027 season. So, are we just waiting on a better quarterback to come around for the 2028 year? That's my hope. That's my goal. But the bottom line is this: the quarterback room for the future is extremely muddy right now. No clear answers. But with that being said, let's stop looking ahead, and for now, let's look in the now. When it comes to the wide receiver room, does Clemson or do Georgia have the advantage over the other? It's summertime, and I don't know about y'all, but what that means for me is it is barbecue season. My grill has been going. My smoker has been flaming. The meats have been flying off the grill. And so it's time for you to stock up on all of your grilling favorites and earn cash back on every purchase when you use Ibotta. That way you don't have to choose between burgers or hot dogs. You can get both. Fire up that grill. Get those meats going. Ibotta is a free app that lets you get cash back every time you shop. Earn on the hundreds of items from groceries to beauty supplies to toys. So you can make sure you're beating inflation no matter what you're purchasing. The average Ibotta earns $256 per year. That could cover the cost of an entire shopping trip, or that flight that you've been eyeing, or even that fancy dinner you've been craving. Other apps give you points that don't amount to much. With Ibotta, you earn cash back that you can withdraw to your bank account, PayPal, or even gift cards. Simply add offers in the app, upload your receipt, and voila, the money is all yours. You can save on over 2,400 brands and shop at over 1,000 retailers, including your favorite grocery stores, Lowe's, Macy's, Sephora, Best Buy, and so much more. Right now, Ibotta is offering our listeners $5 for just trying Ibotta by using the code LOCKEDONCollege when you register. Just go to the App Store or Google Play Store, download the free Ibotta app to start earning cash back, and use code LOCKEDONCollege. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. Hey, once you're done listening with this, make sure you go check out the Locked On College Football podcast. Spencer McCaughlin has everything you need all about college football season, from transfer portals to NIL deals to conference realignment to all the top stuff. He's got a great episode over there. To find that, you can jump into the episode notes to find a link to his show so you don't have to go searching. It is a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. At the wide receiver position, Clemson edges out Georgia. Look, I know that's a hot take. I know even some Clemson fans aren't going to agree with me. And I know some of y'all didn't agree with me on the wide receiver, on the running back room. We're in the middle of this series where we're getting ready for the game against Georgia, which is now 9 days away. 9 days. I'm pumped. I hope you are too. But when it comes to this, we're looking at different positions and what school has the advantage when it comes to different positional groups. We've talked about quarterbacks, and we said Georgia has the advantage. We talked about running backs, and personally, as a fan, I want to say Clemson, but as a true realistic person, I give the edge a little bit to Georgia with Trevor Etienne, just where they are now. When it comes to the wide receiver room, I think Clemson has the edge. And I know I'm saying that with a lot of people saying Georgia has a top 7 wide receiver room in the nation. I'm saying that with the wide receiver room being a big question mark for Clemson over the past couple of years. I think this is the year where we're going to see Clemson start to edge back to that wide receiver university that they were for so many years. They're going to edge back to having these dominant wide receivers. I mean, we've got speed on speed on speed with some size. So with that, let's take a look at Clemson's wide receiver room to begin this. So our wide receivers are right now, we got Adam Randall, who didn't get to play a lot last year due to injuries, but he's going to come back. You got Antonio Williams, who, again, is a good running back or a good wide receiver, but has missed a little bit of time. You got Tyler Brown, who was an all ACC freshman last year. You've got Troy Stellato, who's a utility guy for us. You've got 2 amazing freshmen coming in, 5-star recruits, Bryant Westcott Jr. and TJ Moore, who were going to be outstanding. But then you also have Cole Turner, who's missed so much time with injuries. I think we're going to see a side of him that people forgot existed. And then you've got some other people, Noble Johnson, Meeson Kelly, Ronan Hannafin, Hampton Earl, and then, of course, the GOAT, Clay Sweeney. We've got a good wide receiver room. And here's the thing. Yes, we might not have that nationally top wide receiver in the nation, right? Like Georgia has that when it comes down to Dominic Lovett. NC State has that with Casey Concepcion. There's these schools that have one really, really good wide receiver, and then the rest kind of drops off. And this is why I think Clemson has it. I think we have our number. I think we have potentials to have those number ones. I think Adam Randall could be our number one wide receiver. I think Antonio Williams could be it. I think Tyler Brown could be it. I think TJ Moore could step up and be it this year as a freshman. We have those. But what the great part is then we also have amazing talent at other level. I think realistically right now, we have 6 wide receivers that could start at almost any other school in the nation, not in the ACC, in the nation. We have 6 top-tier wide receivers that people are sleeping on because we haven't had consistent quarterback play to get them to play. We've also went through an offensive coordinator change, which when that happens, you always lose a little production almost all the time the first year to get a hang of it. Clemson edges out Georgia when it comes to the wide receiver race. When you look at the stats from last year, they didn't blow up the charts. Tyler Brown was our leading receiver with 530 yards. Bo Collins, who had transferred, had 500 yards. But then you really didn't have any consistently healthy players. Troy Stellato had 337, but he didn't play in a lot of games. Adam Randall, 250, but he only had 22 receptions due to injury. Antonio Williams, 200, but only 20 receptions. We don't see their full potential unless you truly look at them because they were injured last year. There was quarterback play. This year, a healthy squad is coming in with 6 top-tier wide receivers that I think halfway through the season, we'll start seeing people talk about how this Clemson wide receiver room is one of the best in the nation. They have talent from 1 to 6 that can match up with almost any other receiver in the nation, that can match up with the best cornerbacks. I'm not saying they're better than, like, they'll show up every cornerback. There's going to be some ones that cause us trouble, but if a school comes in with 2 really good cornerbacks, sweet. Run a 3 wide receiver option, and they're going to be open. And it's just we have the talent top to bottom that's there to show that we have the edge. When you look at Georgia's wide receiver room, we talked about some. We talked about Dominic Lovett, who he's great. He's definitely going to be their best wide receiver, 100%. They have Arian Smith, who I think is good, but I don't think he's at the level of some of our players. They've got Dylan Bell, who I don't think's there. They also got 2 incoming players that are going to play for them. They're both transfers with Colby Young and London Humphreys. They have Anthony Evans III, and then they've got a bunch of freshmen. I think when it comes to wide receivers, Clemson has the edge because when you look at their lineup, when you look at Georgia's receivers, yeah, they've got the top. Dominic Lovett, there's an argument that he's better than any one of our wide receivers. But then 2 through 6, no. Clemson, I don't care who you match up. Clemson's better 2 through 6 all the way, no matter who you match up there. 1-on-1, I could see Dominic getting the edge. But 2 through 6, we're not ranking their best wide receiver. We're saying who is the advantage as a wide receiver room in a whole. And as a whole, from top to bottom, Clemson has the better wide receiver group. And I think it's going to be apparent. I think when we see this game in 9 days, I think our wide receivers, if we're truly able to run the ball, the dirt rate gets there, and we're able to play the game that we're talking about, I think it's going to show how great our wide receiver room is. This year, if Cade can play consistently, if he can not be the hero ball, if he can do his job and get the ball into our receivers' hands, we're going to see this team. So when it comes to the wide receiver room, Clemson has the edge and has the advantage, has the better wide receiver room than Georgia has. Now, well, that's the finishing up that part of the series. When we go forward, we're going to dive into tight ends. Tomorrow we'll hit up tight ends and maybe offensive line before we switch to defense next week. But let's finish up one other series we've been doing. What can we learn from last year's Kentucky game? I'll give you a hint. It's learning that we can be really excited about the dirt raid. Hey, Locked On Clemson fans, I want to take a moment to give you a heads up on a brand new mobile game that I think you're going to love as much as I do, Ultimate College Football HC. In this amazing game and simulation, you get to step into the shoes of head coach and lead your college football program to glory. Can you imagine actually being the head coach of Clemson? From recruiting players and hiring coaching staff to overseeing training camps and handling school scholarships, you control every crucial detail of your program. It's all in your hands. Are you going to be able to handle the pressure? And here's why I really love the game. You are responsible for calling offensive plays during the game. Your strategy will not only determine the success of your football season, but will shape the future and legacy of your program. Ultimate College Football HC is completely free, has 0 ads, and 100% playable offline. You can play on the go as you want when you want to. And of course, we have a special offer here for Locked On Clemson. Use promo code LOCKEDONCFB, all caps, inside the game to receive a free boost to your program. To download the game, just visit cfb.com, ultimate-cfb.com, or look it up on the App Store. Ultimate College Football HC, begin your coaching legacy right now. Welcome back to the Locked On Clemson podcast. The Clemson game from last year showed us how successful the dirt raid can be. When we looked at all this, we are finishing up the series where we are looking at every single game from last year and then seeing what can we learn from those games and about this year's team. And this game might show us more than any other game simply because a lot of the players that left didn't play in this game. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. did not play in this game. We had some very notable players not play because they were getting ready for the draft. Nate Wiggins wasn't there. Because of this, we were able to see truly the team for this year, not including the freshmen. And this game was, in my opinion, the funnest game to watch out of every game this past year. It was back and forth. Our defense struggled, and that's because a lot of our key defensive players weren't there. And so we have good backups, but they weren't used to starting and seeing the reps that they saw this game. And so that we struggled there. Barian Brown for Kentucky went off. I think he had 3 touchdowns, 2 receiving, and 1 on a kickoff return. He went off. Our defense struggled a little bit, but our offense truly showed how successful the dirt raid can be. When we look at last year's game, it was a high-scoring game for sure. Overall, Clemson won this game 38-35. In the first quarter, we kicked a field goal where Barian Brown had a 22-yard run. Second quarter, Phil Maffa scored his first touchdown of the day, and then Kentucky followed that up with a 5-yard pass from Devin Leary, transferred from NC State, so we've seen him play the Tigers before. Went to halftime down 10-14. Third quarter, first play of the third quarter, Barian Brown had a second touchdown of the day with a 100-yard kickoff return. But the fourth quarter, Clemson came alive. We scored a touchdown, 1-yard run by Phil Maffa for a second. Jonathan White's hit a field goal with 7 minutes left to go up. That would only be down 19-21. Phil Maffa scored another run 15 minutes later when we caused a turnover. Early on in this fourth quarter, in 10 offensive plays, Kentucky turned the ball over 3 different times. So we scored a touchdown then, went up 27-21. We had the 2-point conversion. Right after that, they scored a quick pass on Barian Brown's 60-yard pass from Devin Leary to go up by 1. Jonathan White's hit a field goal to go up by 2 with 4 minutes left. Kentucky scored again with 2.5 minutes left with a 1-yard run to go up by 5. And then Cade led an amazing last 2-minute drill drive where Phil Maffa ended it with a 3-yard run. And we got the 2-point conversion with 17 seconds left to win the game 38-35. This game was an amazing game, but it showed that the dirt raid that Garrett Riley and Dabo Swinney are high on can be successful. Look, our rushing game, it looks like we didn't have great. We had 103 yards, but it was a big 103 yards. Phil Maffa had 4 touchdowns and 74 yards on the day. Will Shipley had 29 yards, but he got injured, had a big kickoff return, got injured late. Tyler Brown had 18 yards rushing. Cade Klubnik had -12, but it was just because of them sacks. You take those away. He had a couple good runs on the day. They ran a flea flicker that the pass wasn't opened after Cade got the flea flicker back, and so he ran for 12 yards for a first down. He had some big runs on the day. But because of the running was open, because they relied on the run and those rushes were successful, Kentucky had to guard that, which allowed Cade to throw for 75% for 264 yards. He didn't have any touchdowns because Phil Moffitt took them all. He did have one interception, but honestly, I don't blame the interception on him. He tried to throw a pass when he got absolutely hit hard, causing the ball to fly off target due to the impact, and they made a diving catch to pick it off. So I don't blame him for that interception. It was, you needed a score in the time that he threw it, and so he had to get the ball out, and it just ended up in an interception. So I don't blame him for that. He did have a fumble on the day as well, but he jumped on it. The fumble was his fault. He just wasn't protecting the ball at all, but he didn't lose the fumble. Whereas our defense showed up. Our defense had 2 interceptions. Shelton Lewis had one. Barrett Carter had one. We had a couple fumble recoveries. Justin Maskell had a fumble recovery. Barrett Carter had a fumble recovery. You talk about a day. Barrett Carter had a pick and a fumble recovery and a couple tackles for loss. Our special teams did well. Jonathan White's, I think he put to rest our field goal kicking doubt. I know now he's gone, as that was his last time. He had went 3 for 3 for 52-yard was his longest, was perfect at extra points. We went for 2 extra points, 2 2-point conversions, and only got one of them. But yeah, we had a great day there. Defensive wise, like we talked about, little struggle there just because a lot of players weren't used to seeing the snap counts that they did. Devin Larry went for 16 for 28, 306 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Rushing, we only allowed 92 rush yards on the day. Durant Davis had 63 yards. Barian Brown had 26 on a couple jet sweeps. And then the receiving wise, they had one receiver hit 100 yards, Barian Brown, who had a great game. We already talked about that. Dane Key had a couple big plays. He had 4 receptions for 83 yards. Most of those came on one possession where he had caught a 58-yard pass and then scored in the end zone. Overall, the key while we're talking about this is our dirt raid proved to be successful. Early on, we established the run, and so late in the game where we had a drive after drive after drive where we needed to score. I mean, when you look at the game recap in the fourth quarter, we scored some kind of point every possession that we had in the fourth quarter. We scored a touchdown to kick off the fourth quarter. Our next possession, we kicked a field goal. Our next possession, we scored at one play, 29 yards in 7 seconds. We scored to take the lead. Our next possession, we marched on the field in 1 minute and 52 seconds. We went and Jonathan White hit a 52-yard field goal. Our next possession, with the game on the line, time expiring, Cade had an excellent drive, throwing the ball, making some great throws, setting his feet outside the pocket, hitting Jake Brenningstool for a great game. Great yard that set Phil Moffitt to have a 3-yard touchdown run. We scored on our last 5 drives, and that was possible because the rush game was successful, which led to the pass game having open looks. When that happens, if we can do that this year, if we can hit the runs, if Phil Moffitt can move the ball, Jay Haynes comes in and moves the ball when Phil needs a break, Keith Adams comes in and moves, Cade doesn't turn the ball over. If that can happen, the dirt raid, which is run the ball, which leads to open passes, that will be successful. That is a recipe for an amazing year. And the Kentucky game last year proved that it works. The Kentucky game last year gave us a preview at what a successful dirt raid truly looks like. I'm excited about it. You should be very excited about this. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Locked On Clemson podcast. Thanks so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every single day. Now go check Locked On Clemson or Locked On College Football podcast. Spencer's got a great show over on there. It is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You can find the link to that in the episode notes. Later tomorrow, we're going to wrap up this week talking about another positional group with Georgia matchup and some other football conversations. Make sure you join our Locked On Clemson Insider program, where you get one-on-one chat, sending questions that we will answer on the show, and bonus videos only for Locked On Insiders, such as mailbag episodes and film breakdown. To join Locked On Clemson, all you have to do is text Clemson to 864-252-1907. You get 14 days to try it out for free, just to be a part of that Locked On Clemson Insider program. Hey, we'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. Drop a comment, hit us up on Twitter at I am John Bivens. We'd love to hear what you have to say. If you haven't, make sure you're subscribed to this podcast, wherever you get this podcast, or where if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe. That way, every single day, we can be our first listen here on Locked On Clemson. Make sure to check out other podcasts from Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. We can't wait to see you on tomorrow's episode. But until then, keep that Tiger pride alive and roaring. And as always, go Tigers.